Welcome to the Spirits, Angels, and Guides Oh My podcast.
Where the supernatural gets real, baby. Hey,
Hey, Tara. How are you?
I am lovely, thank you. How are you?
Doing great. What's new in Tara's world?
What's not new? It's a constant going around and around in circles. What's new? You know what I want to talk about?
What?
I want to talk about meditation for just a minute. This came up in a class I was running, and meditation triggers me anyway because here's the thing. Spiritualism, metaphysical work, the divine is so saturated with people. Are you ready? Disclaimer, Tara is about to trigger every person that's ever worked in the spiritual metaphysical community ever. It's so saturated with people with all these, you do not need to meditate in any great length or capacity unless you feel you need to meditate at a great length or capacity.
Yeah.
Period. Hard stop. If Deepak Chopra or the Dalai Lama tells you have to sit in lotus position and bliss for eternity to raise your vibration, you can believe that, or you can choose to be authentically yourself.
Right.
Is there research that says being mindful and demure, because I'm most demure, but being mindful and demure is a thing? Sure. But be authentic to yourself, people. If you can't sit in meditation for 20 minutes because your mind has got other things going on, Spirit doesn't give a shit. Can I just say that? Spirit's not up there judging, going, hey, Tara, you're working on a shopping list or where you can buy your next Uggs. You're supposed to be meditating, girlfriend. Someone to be talking to you. They don't care. Here's the thing. Everything is about intention. So if you go into a meditation, someone's doing it, and your mind wanders, your subconscious is still picking up that meditation, baby. And you're still grounding that, and you're still taking that in and embodying it. So do not get caught up, friends. If you want to take anything from the Tara and Nan show, it's this. Meditation is everyone's unique experience. How you do it, when you do it, and for how long is up to you. It is not up to Spirit, it's not up to the Dalai Lama, and it sure as hell ain't up to Deepak Chopra. Okay? You want to meditate for 2 minutes? That's fine. Gap for me is good enough, baby. I ground, I ascend, prayer of intention, prayer of protection. Boop, Bob your uncle, we're off to the races. That's it. Don't get caught up in what other people think you should do or other people tell you should do.
And I think part of that is with a lot of developing mediums and psychics, we tend to look towards leaders. We look towards people who they're in the spotlight because they've done the work, the proven work to get there, until we find the authentic local leaders who are doing that work, right? So you tend to look to the Deepak Chopras because he's been on Oprah. He must know everything, rather than your local yoga instructor who's saying, hey, just meditate as much as you need to, or your local medium who's saying to you, it's okay if you don't feel you can sit in silent meditation, do walking meditation, right? Like take what you can and leave the rest. It's not all one or nothing.
Truth. Can we go down a different rabbit hole for just 2 seconds?
Okay.
Maybe something we've talked about before, because remember, Tara can't remember what happened yesterday.
Right.
But let's talk about Oprah and the quality of the people she brings on her mother fluffin' show. Dr. Oz? Oh. Dr. Phil? What? Oh. Oprah. That's why I think she's part of the whole P. Diddy thing, because her track record is freaky. I'm not going to lie. And these people go off to make bank. And then Dr. Oz is going to be in Trump's administration. What?
Really?
What?
Oh God. Oh, let's not go down the Trump road.
Oh, I don't know if he was going to be in Trump's administration, but he was trying to be some kind of, I don't know, something. I don't know. Something in the government somewhere that doesn't bother us. But my point being is, look at the caliber of these people. Now, she's had lots of good people on, I suppose. I never, ever liked Oprah Winfrey.
Wow.
Never watched her show. She never jived with me. And there's lots of people that I don't jive with either. So probably not watching our show, baby. Sorry, Nan. But I just didn't jive with her. I just didn't feel it. I didn't feel a connection. I mean, I liked some of the things she did, but I just didn't jive with her.
Mm-hmm.
But my point being is that look at the dingleberries she brings onto her show. Dr. Phil makes me like Dr. Oz. I just don't think they're good people, right? I don't feel they actually have people's good intentions in mind. Like Dr. Phil running around, saying and doing things and instigating things. He's like no better than Jerry Springer. Actually, he's worse than Jerry Springer. Jerry Springer knew exactly, what he had to do to keep his TV show on. Dr.
Right.
Phil really thinks he's doing something.
Right.
Of course, that's my humble opinion.
Disclaimer, as we get a cease and desist letter from Dr. Phil Corporation.
Oh my God, Oprah Winfrey invites me on her show so she can chastise me. Okay. Anyway, that's it. I think we have a very, very exciting kind of topic today.
We do, and I'm not too sure if it's going to jive for everyone, but again, if you've listened to this podcast at all, you're getting to know Tara and I quite well, and if not, hop on and enjoy the ride, because I tend to deep dive down a lot of interesting rabbit holes. And a friend of ours, Sonia from the church, got me hooked on this app called Gaia. And I'm sure a lot of people heard about it. And it's got all sorts of great TV shows on it. And one thing I noticed as I was like binge watching my ancient aliens and ancient artifacts, there was this theme that came up. And it was a consistent acknowledgement or reference to the number 72. So we're going to talk about a number today. It's not an event. It's not a ghost. It's not a place that's haunted. It's an actual number.
Okay, I've never heard a reference to 72. 7 plus 2 is 9.
Which you need to hang on to that for a minute.
Okay.
That's going to be very important. So as I sort of, did my deep dive, one of the coolest things that came up is that the number 72 appeared in religious texts. It appears in astrology. It appears in sacred geometry and cosmic cycles. But my whole thing was wondering if it goes beyond that symbolism and it's actually sort of a numeric key to understanding divine consciousness and the fabric of reality. Mic drop.
Okay, that's a lot, girlfriend. Okay, that's a lot, girl. That's a lot of critical thinking that Tara is going to go watch The Addams Family now. Lay it on us, baby.
No,
I need some Wednesday.
This is our podcast. You have to participate.
I'm here for this. Tell us, and I will jump in with the oohs and the ahs.
All right. So it has been said that sacred geometry is the blueprint of the universe. Have you heard this?
I've heard that one. Yes, I'm here for it. This one, we're together.
You said you've never heard of 72, so I
know what a Merkaba is.
As I've dove into all these shows, they were saying that the number 72 may represent a numerical gateway to understanding deeper mechanics of existence. So 72 has appeared in ancient temples, planetary motion, spiritual practices. Okay, I'm going to get to some examples here. So some examples around this. As a sacred number, 7 and 2 reduces to 9. So if, in numerology, if you do 7 plus 2, it reduces to 9, which symbolizes wholeness, cycles, and spiritual enlightenment.
Okay? I'm here for it.
Many ancient cultures saw 9 as the number of divine wisdom, making 72 a higher expression of spiritual balance.
Here for it.
Okay. Now, so I'm going to bring some math out here. So sacred geometry, the pentagram is one of the fundamental symbols of sacred geometry. It encodes 72 in all the angles, which reinforces kind of a reference to divine order and universal balance. So basically the number 72 is often associated due to the fact that the central angle of the rectangular pentagon in the middle part forms the basis of the pentagram, measures exactly 72 degrees. Okay, we're getting real deep on the research here.
Okay, I'm still here.
Okay, astrological references and celestial connections. So the Earth's axis shifts 1 degree every 72 years, linking celestial timing to 72. Okay.
Okay.
Astrologers believe that this is an indication of divine order guiding human consciousness through these celestial cycles.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. I'm still here for it.
So the zodiac is divided into 36 decans, which corresponds with 72 planetary rulers, influencing astrological interpretations of all this cosmic energy. You're still hanging in here, listeners?
Ooh, on Wednesday.
Okay. The question is, why is 72 appearing in all of these spiritual traditions, these cosmic cycles? Well, some believe that it's part of a universal, like a great source, someone bigger than us, code that's embedded into our reality, astrology, manifestation rituals that suggests like a deeper energetic resonance. Does this make sense so far?
Are you asking me? So let me just say, I'm here for it.
Okay, so then, as I went, tell me more. The religious and mystical traditions also have 72. We're not going to talk religion right now, but we're going to reference 72. Judaism and the Kabbalah, the 72 names of God are believed to unlock higher consciousness or divine wisdom. In Hinduism or Ayurveda, the human body is said to have 72,000 energy channels, mirroring the universal structure again within us. In Egypt, the myth of Osiris says he was betrayed by 72 conspirators, which again links back into that cosmic cycles and transformation. Okay, so
Ah.
okay, so I'm going to tie this all into something now. And for the guy who said we take too long to get to the point, I hope you're watching this one again. So we're taking
I was like, bye, Felicia. You don't want to hang out for the whole thing? You can go.
So if 72 is appearing as this universal code, the question I'm asking to the listeners, is this number 72 a numerical gateway to understanding the deeper mechanics of existence? For us mediums and psychics, is this the key? If we started doing some meditation or work with our spirit guides, like I'd be interested for you to do a channeling around this, Tara, like as a further experiment to work with Kuan Yin and just be like, hey girl, well, tell me about 72 and just
Hey.
hey. Because if this is appearing in ancient temples, if this is appearing in planetary motion, if this is appearing in spiritual practices worldwide, this to me seems like this crazy connection that balances a physical reality with a spiritual reality around sort of natural laws and numerical laws, right? So is this a gateway to a higher consciousness? So basically, I guess I'm interested in the moving from the theoretical to the experimental. I'm curious as mediums and psychics that are out there. If there is, and I'm obviously not, if you guys Dr. Google 72, spiritual, whatever, I'm just planting the seeds and gave you a skim overview of the number. But what I'm curious about is all of our listeners, what are your thoughts on 72? If it's in ancient civilizations over temples, symbols, it aligns with our sacred geometry. It aligns with the fabric and foundation of the sacred geometry within even plant structures. Is this a gateway? Is this a key to having a deeper spiritual growth? Is this a key to going deeper into cosmic rhythms that could open up deeper connections and communications for mediums and psychics out there? What is your thoughts around this, Tara?
Well, how would you embrace it? But here's the thing, like, how would you embrace the number 72 and open a consciousness with it? But go beyond that for a second. If nothing is a coincidence, oh my God, Nan, I threw that thought process out on the Spirit Essence show, and oh my God, it was cray cray. But if nothing is a coincidence and everything is meant to be, and I believe that because we all have free will choice. I don't believe in fate. I don't believe in destiny. I believe in free will choice, personal responsibility. It's the only gift that keeps on giving. Then this is what it is. 72 is a sacred number that connects the divinity to the humanness,
Yeah,
right? And then all the extra things are just the additions to it that solidify, right? That
yeah,
solidify the underlining message, which is the ascension I
Yeah.
don't know where
And
that came from, but that's what I believe, apparently. Whispering in my ears, just say this and sound smart. Sound knowledgeable, sweet child.
you've heard of binaural beats, right? I'm just searching it now because there's a certain amount of hertz that you can listen to. And I believe 72 is one of them as well, that connects you into a deeper conscious connection into higher consciousness.
Yeah, well, the number 9 means a lot to me. Like, I'm just not Nan. These things are interesting to me. And here's the funny thing is that they're interesting to me. And then I'll walk out of the door and someone will say, "What did you just talk about?" And I'll be like, and I don't know if that's like the humanist in me just being overwhelmed, overworked, underpaid. I don't know. But, and it'll come back to me though down the road when something triggers it. I mean, trigger in a good way. When something's like, "Hey, you talked about 72 with Nana." All of a sudden I'll be like, "Oh my God, do you know that it's coincidental? Do you know Cyrus has 72, people that didn't like him and wanted to get rid of him. And
Yeah.
it's all conspiracy again to like I will all of a sudden spew all this stuff that will come out of nowhere, and people literally have their jaw hanging down, and I'll be like, don't ask me where that came from though. So for me though, I do not believe in coincidences. So the fact that this is so prevalent, really,
Yeah.
I feel like it's a web being spun,
Yeah.
and everything is 72, 72, and
Which
without
leads to
having to
nothing.
put anything on 72.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because in numerology, you can cut numbers left, right, center, and all sorts of stuff. And it's again why I don't read tarot cards, why I don't do numerology. Too much work involved.
And it is, I find like tarot cards and numerology have a lot of science pulled into it, right? There's a lot that need to be, I agree with you. It's a lot of work and there's a lot of memorizing, and I am way too menopausal to keep all that stuff in my head. And it's, I find too, as a medium, and you probably find the same thing. But what I find is as a medium, when I'm done the reading, I completely forget about it. So like it's not mine to keep energetically. Right. So maybe when you and I are talking about this stuff, it's great to sort of muse about it and talk about it, but it's a lot like our readings where we let it go because we don't need to keep it energetically, and we send the energy back to the client. But yeah, all these different little things that just sit down and I go, huh. And then I do a little deep dive, you and I have a little chit chat about it, and then I go, okay, next we'll move on. But I do love the science behind the fact that numerology and astrology brings the metaphysical into the scientific portion of it. And there's so much of it that balances out. And I'm the same with you. I love the number 9.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think about sacred geometry a lot. I love the symbolism of it. I'm just not that metaphysical person. I am very good at what I do. Toot toot goes my little horn. And I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Like I'm blessed to be able to do what I do because I do it with no precursors or no judgment or expectation. I just connect to spirit and spirit just comes through. So all the extra stuff feels extra.
Mhm.
Does that make sense to you? Like,
It
when
does.
people say, "Oh, I just did this whole research on this and this is what I found out." And I feel like what I do with spirit is enough.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So I'm always open to learning, and like I said, I'm always open to developing. I never stop. Spiritual development never stops, right? You're always downloading, you're always getting things, but I just do it differently than the average layman, I guess. So
Mhm.
whereas some people will go and say, "I love past lives and I'm going to learn everything about a past life." I've never taken a past life course and I teach past lives.
But you've had your own psychic or mediumship downloads from your teachers. So,
Exactly. I took it all from a different way because, again, it comes down to I simply trust the process. I trust spirit probably more than I trust anything.
yeah.
And you know how I know that, Nan? Let's get a little deep, baby.
Okay. Do it.
I know that because I have never questioned. You know exactly what I'm going to say. I have never questioned spirit about why Ryan had to die.
Yeah.
I've never questioned. I've never asked for the lesson, an explanation. I've never blamed spirit. You
Mhm.
failed me because I just trust.
Okay, I have a question. Have you ever gone into the Akashic records about it?
No. Now, I'm going to say something to that. There is a lot because of where we are at in the grieving, the healing, and let's just be honest, the court case.
Mhm.
cases. There's
Mhm.
a lot still there that I am not ready to know.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I don't reach out for anyone to give me a message. I don't reach out, and people cannot help themselves, and I always accept it with as much grace as I can. And you know this. You're like a bestie, so you know this, but I'm just going to say it. I do not want to hear your interpretation of a message from Ryan.
Yeah.
Not now, maybe not ever. And I'm okay with that because I get what I need from him on his own. I'm not ready for my husband, who was here that day, to tell me anything about
Right.
it. I know some stuff because people spilled beans when you're all talking and they know things and whatever. But there's stuff I'm not ready for. And I definitely am not looking for
Yeah.
any kind of answers. I don't want anyone, and maybe this is it, Nan. I don't want this to become an explanation. Like, let's make a spiritual explanation of this. I said when I stood in that parking lot, when I got the phone call, and I said, I'm going to do this, I said it. I said two things. One, I said, Ryan, I'm not going to eat chocolate.
So you
That,
lied to your kid in spirit. Way to go.
I think what I meant was I wasn't going to go backwards in my journey with
Gotcha. Yeah.
my weight.
Of
I
course,
was
for
going
the
to use.
listeners, I'm just teasing because I know Tara and I can do this. I can poke.
I think it was more, Nan, that I was just immediately saying, I'm not going to let this do anything to my progress of where I am. But I also said out loud while my little baby Pitty was chewing on some guy's leg, because I lost control of her when all this happened. He was so nice for the most part. Anyway, I said out to the universe, I said, I'm going to handle this from my most human space. I am going to let my humanness handle this. Because I know spirit's got me. So I'm not going to go and start sitting in that space of like, oh, spirit's going to, it had to have. No, 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 we're not doing that. My humanness, my human self has to absorb and work through it because that's the experience.
And I think that that's really good for our listeners to pay attention to because we are a soul having a human experience. And I find as we try to always like spiritually sugarcoat everything. I don't know what the term is, but
Oh, I love that. Harbinder Booney, we have a new bumper sticker. Don't spiritually sugarcoat it.
and that's what a lot of people do because we tend to like to live in that blissful place of where we feel good, which is in spirit. But the whole point of the journey is to feel the feels while we're here. And if you don't, you get presented the lesson again in another capacity. Regardless, like even certain things that I keep over the last few years happening over and over at work until this last year, I had this aha moment and the lesson finally stopped presenting itself because you process, you feel the feels. I didn't go straight up into source or into talk to my higher self. I was like, okay, I need to feel angry at this situation. I need to feel disappointed and moody and do all of those and then put my big girl panties on and just get on with it. Like it was just one of those things. And ever since I have, wow, game changer, complete shift energetically. So I fully appreciate the fact that you're feeling the feels and working through it. As one of your best friends, I hate to watch you go through this, but hold space as best I can. But it is good. It is good that you have that promise to yourself.
Before we end this, there was a comment in a group I'm a part of, and it's a very large group, and I don't do a lot in it because there's just too many people and you get kind of lost in it. But there was
Yeah.
this one comment that I saw, and it was along the lines of, someone was talking about mental health and how it's really just a spiritual shift.
Hmm.
And I was like, stop, stop, because that's not 95% of the time true.
Hmm.
We cannot use spirituality as an excuse for poor behavior, for physical ailments. There is a very human aspect to our lives. And if someone has a mental health issue, it needs to be addressed from both the holistic, the spiritual, well, all three, and the human.
Yeah.
That's why I always say, if you are not working the holistic energy approach with science, then you're not doing the work. Guess what? Creator, if that's what you believe, source, the God of your understanding, They made science, baby.
Mm-hmm.
They put it out there. The fairies brought it to us. That's a story for another time. But it's part of the creation. So why wouldn't we embrace it?
100%. Yeah.
And use it together. Use them both. And that is my TED Talk for today. Thank you. Thank you for
Great
listening.
TED Talk.
Thank you very much.
So work with the number 72 and then just take a walk. Just do something physical.
Just work with the number 72 and go for a walk. But that 72, again, goes back to coincidence. All those things that, like a web, it all kind of networks together. You can't take that for granted. There is purpose and meaning in that. And sometimes, we don't need to understand the full meaning of it, but it's really cool to get a little bit of the concept of it and be like, okay. And maybe, you deep dive like Nan, or you forget about it like Tara, and it'll come back to you when you need it. Who knows? Who knows?
There you go, listeners. Take what you can and leave the rest, and we're going to plant that right there for you this week.
There's no right or wrong. Be Nan or be Tara.
Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next week, or you'll hear us.
Or both.
Both? I don't know.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the wonderfully weird and metaphysical.
If you loved what you heard, don't forget to follow us for more insights and behind-the-scenes fun.